All right, so we're going to start our tour through the west wing, literally the west wing of our building. And as I mentioned, this is the wing that houses our teaching labs, faculty offices, as well as a small kitchenette here that we provide to our students a place to chat, to sit. We do have a microwave ovens, refrigerators, and so on and so forth. And along this hallway, there are 4 teaching labs, and we're going to be visiting them. This particular one that we're entering in is the high frequency systems and communication systems lab. So this is one of the 4 teaching labs that we have in the department. All of these labs are configured in a similar way, in the sense that everything is on wheels. All of our equipments are on cars that are custom built for us. The tables as well as the chairs are on wheels. That allows us to reconfigure this room in any way that we want, depending on the needs of the class. There are 12 stations in this room, identically configured. Each station hosts a variety of equipment, and we're going to look at those equipment in just a moment. Each station seats 2 students, so that means the total room capacity for this lab, as well as all of our labs, is 24. Since we schedule just about all of our classes that have a lab in these teaching labs, that is our standard class size. So that would be 24 students. All right, so there are a few interesting features of these labs that I'd like to share with you. One of those things is this monitor. This is no ordinary monitor. It's a smart monitor that allows you to control your computer from here. It also allows me to write things such as any class notes that I may want to share with the students. We can overlay any PowerPoint slides, and we can write on top of those as well. So it's actually quite neat. We can, as I mentioned, control the computer from here as well. The room has several whiteboards. You can see there's one on this side. This was the original board that was placed in this room, but there's other. I'd like to show you there are 2 on both sides of this our smart monitor, and there's also another one that goes wall to wall on this side of the room. Perhaps one of the another interesting feature of this room is if you look up, you will see that all of our services, power services, come from the ceiling. That is by design. We learned that the hard way in our previous building, where everything was on the floor, and then the cables would cause chipping hazard. So in our new building, everything's coming from the ceiling. There is 110 volts that's on the perimeter. There is 208 volts, as well as a 3-phase 480 volt supply in each of our teaching labs. In addition to all of these equipments that we see here, we also have a cabinet over here, and this cabinet includes much of the needed parts and supplies or components that the students may need during a lab. We do have extra safety goggles. All students are required to have their own, but just in case, we have a few here. And then there's all the standard parts and supplies that may be needed. So these are a variety of resistors, additional resistors and capacitors and transistors, logic gates, LEDs, and so on and so forth. These provide about 80% of all the parts and components that our students need. The remaining 19%, we'll talk about the last 1% later, the remaining 19% are in our ECE Resource Center, where we stock over 1 million parts. Yes, you heard that right, over 1 million parts, components, and we will visit the ECE Resource Room as well. What about that remaining 1%? Well, in the unlikely case that we don't actually have it in stock, we order it, and there is no cost for that to students. One of the things that we pride ourselves in our department is the fact that we do have state-of-the-art labs and equipment. We use a considerable part of our budget every year for updating our labs. We have some of the labs, some of the equipment in our labs are simply the kind of equipment that you would not find in a typical teaching lab. So here I have Mr. Mario Leon, our technologist, and Mario, can you tell us a little bit about what equipment we have in these labs?
Yes. We have 4 teaching labs. Each lab has 12 workstations. Each workstation will seat 2 students. So we maintain a 2-to-1 ratio so that each student has an opportunity to interface with the equipment. There's the same basic 4 instruments in all labs. We have an oscilloscope for viewing waveforms. We have a signal generator. In this particular lab, we have 2 signal generators, function generators, and a signal generator, because this is our RF lab. In most of the labs, you will have just 1 function generator and a scope, and some of our scopes have a function generator built in. We also have a digital multimeter for measuring AC and DC voltage, measuring resistance, and then we have a power supply. So oscilloscope, function generator, digital multimeter, and power supply are 4 basics that you will find in all of our labs. Like I said, this is our higher end RF communications lab, so you're going to have some slightly higher end equipment.